The breaking news this morning we've been anticipating on the cost of living. The latest inflation numbers are just out, and indeed they show inflation is up. StatsCan says inflation hit 1.9% in the month of August, up slightly from July. And our senior business correspondent Peter Armstrong is here with more on all of this. Good to see you.
Good morning, Heather. How are you?
I've been well. We were talking about how gas prices were affecting things last month, and that figured into the cost, but now we're seeing 1.9, and to what does that do?
So it's an interesting read, actually, and very closely watched, of course, because the Bank of Canada is coming tomorrow, so all of these numbers are being very closely parsed at the central bank. So 1.9%, a little bit lower than they had expected. I think a lot of economists were more expecting a 2% increase, up from 1.7%. And as you say, gasoline driving it. The numbers here are actually really interesting. That on a yearly basis, prices for gasoline fell 12.7% in August. That's pretty good, but it's less than it had fallen from June to July, which was 16.1%. And so, yes, the gasoline prices fell and were a downward pressure on CPI, but not as much as they were the previous month, and that allows CPI to slip up very slightly. Interestingly, though, on a month-over-month basis, August price growth in the Consumer Price Index were actually down, a decline of 0.1%. So we are beginning to see, some real weakness starting to show up in the Consumer Price Index, which of course matters, right? The reason we're watching this so closely, we always watch it because we want to know how much you and I are paying for stuff. But in this instance, this is about the Bank of Canada. This is about whether they feel the green light is there to cut rates.
Cut further?
Yeah.
And what do you think? I mean, but what comes out today? Is that going to affect tomorrow? Is it 100%, that immediately responsive?
100%.
Really?
Yeah. The Bank of Canada, we call them live decisions. Sometimes they feel pretty baked in 10 days before. They would have met on Friday. They meet again Monday. They would have talked on Tuesday. Today, they'll meet going through these numbers and the latest economic data they have to really make sure that that decision tomorrow has all of the latest information fully baked and fully sort of, consumed and thought through into this decision. But we also knew, we've been flagging this exact release for a little while now, because you had the CPI on day one and you have the Bank of Canada on day two. And the concern from the Bank of Canada is that if there's even a hint that inflation's starting to seep up again and that it's showing some kind of concern, they would worry about raising rates or cutting rates. Because if you cut rates, you're encouraging people to borrow and spend. That's going to fuel inflation. But the core measures that the Bank of Canada are worried about came in at 2.6%. That's down from the expectation of 2.7%. The swap markets, which is where investors basically bet as to what they think the Bank of Canada will do, 93% chance they say that we'll see a cut from the Bank of Canada
tomorrow. I was going to say, does that indicate a hole? But okay, the money's on a cut.
Yeah.
Would you come back tomorrow and tell us all about it?
I'm
booking you here live on air.
9:45 watching it. Yeah.
Thank you, our senior business correspondent Peter Armstrong with the breaking inflation numbers this morning.